In today's episode, we're talking all about niching. Should you do it? Shouldn't you? And if you do, how the heck do you even get started? Welcome to another episode of JFDI with the two Lauras, where we're sharing our decades of experience to give you tips, advice, and hopefully inspiration to help you in your business as a freelance social media manager. On the show today, we're talking about niching, or if you're in the US, niching. Niching is one of those things that people kind of know they should do, but often put off. So we're sharing our thoughts on whether you should niche, what happens if you don't, and how you can choose a niche for your business. You might have more questions about niching after the show, and that's what the Social Media Managers Hub is for. That's our Facebook group where we hang out after the show to answer your follow-up questions. Just go to the socialmediamanagershub.com or search for the Social Media Managers Hub on Facebook. Pop your email address in the box and we'll let you in, and as an added bonus, we'll drop into your inbox every day with even more tips and advice for your business. We'll pop the link in the show notes. But for now, on with the show. That was very exciting. Right, Laura Davis, did you niche?
Of a fashion.
Okay.
I did, and I wish I'd done it sooner, and it took me a long time. So I totally get it when people are like on the fence with this, because I was on the fence, and then as soon as I niched, I wish I had done it sooner, because I think my mentality was, which was totally wrong, and I see that now, but at the time I just couldn't see it. But my mentality was, if I niched, then there's loads of businesses I couldn't work with, or I would be putting off loads of businesses. Like I had just the wrong mindset.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what it was that actually made me make the change. I think I very much remember at the time I was at capacity. I was working with a lot of businesses in a lot of different sectors, and I was finding it quite difficult to 1 minute be talking about a furniture company, the next minute to be talking about a running group, the next to be talking about a hoodie you could buy. I found it very difficult to be kind of jumping around quite a lot in my content. So I definitely know that will have steered me into making a decision. I was probably approaching burnout, to be honest. But yeah, so I did niche, and it did make my life so much easier. It made my content I was creating for my own business so much easier. It made me appeal to a lot of businesses that possibly previously would have just discounted me. I don't know that for sure though, but everything felt easier. I felt more at peace with my business. And I know you niche, but you did it differently. So why don't you?
Yeah, I did. I niched to only offer Facebook ads. And that's many moons ago now. But if I was going to do things now, I'd do it differently. Yes, I probably would still niche in my service, but I would do it very differently now than what I did before. And we'll talk about all the different ways that you can niche, but I think I would do it vastly differently.
Yeah. I would, because I think times are different, and I think maybe we can.
And I think having this business and this business where we are so niche and we only talk to you as a freelance social media manager has helped me to really see that the more specific you are, the easier everything is.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I actually feel sometimes we're not niche enough.
Wow.
But I think one of the reasons why I think it's more important now to niche than it was when we were starting out is because of how different the platforms are. So when I started, we're talking about 8 years ago now, to be a freelance social media manager, there wasn't as many as there are now. So there was less competition.
Yeah.
Or it certainly felt like that. And B, the platforms were a lot easier then. They were smaller. Yeah. Instagram had we're only a few years into Instagram. It was just the photos. There was no videos and reels and, stories and threads and collaboration posts. And
we were all in the same position. We were all learning it as we went. Whereas now there's a lot of younger people who have been brought up with social media.
Yeah.
So it's different, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, very much so. And I think So the platforms are a lot bigger now, and I think you're doing yourself a disservice by calling yourself a social media manager who can basically do everything, because let's face it, we can't. The platforms are massive. You look at Facebook alone and it's huge in terms of its capabilities, the profiles, the groups, the professional profiles, all of that jazz. You've got the whole, obviously we've just covered all the elements of Instagram. LinkedIn's the same. I think probably Twitter, X, whatever it is, probably fairly similar. But, that platforms evolve. We've got TikTok now that we didn't have back when I was a lass. So everything is much bigger. And I think it's unrealistic as a broad social media manager, to be good at all of that. And people don't want broad social media managers anymore. They don't want that jack of all trades, master of none. People want specific skill sets.
And I think this is why big brands like, Marks and Spencer's, flipping Wendy's, whoever, in their marketing teams, their social media teams, they won't just have one person who is doing all of those platforms. They'll have a whole team. And it's not because they're a big business and so therefore they need a whole team, because it's still the same platforms, So a small business is still going to have potentially the same amount of content that needs to go out. They're still trying to reach people. Their end goal is still the same thing. It's just that they might not have the same budget to have somebody for every single platform, but they still need an expert on the main one.
Yeah. And I think I just don't think in this day and age, I sound like my mother.
You're so old.
We can get away with being really broad. If I'm not,
no, I agree.
But aside from that, I think it's much easier for businesses to find you if you're showing that you know them. And I've talked about this before, that if we decided, sod this, we're not doing our own social media anymore, which, it's a conversation we have a lot, and if I would say, okay, well, we need to find ourselves a freelance social media manager. And I stumbled across an account which was, I help small businesses with their social media, versus I stumbled across someone who said, I help course creators and membership owners with their Instagram, because Instagram's our main platform, to generate more leads or something along those lines. I'd go, okay, they understand the industry that I'm in.
Yeah.
They understand me more than the small business, because the small business could...
Yeah, they know the platform, they know our goals.
Yeah. And whereas the person who says they help small businesses with their social media, they could be helping a local gardener get more bookings for their garden, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not transferable to me. Or they could help like an e-commerce business get loads of sales, and they could be absolutely smashing it.
Yeah.
But that's not relevant to me. But they could also be an expert and have loads of experience helping course creators and membership owners. But because they've not owned that niche in how they've described themselves on their bio, their website, wherever I've looked, I don't know that. So therefore, I'm going to hire the person who does know that industry and does know how we roughly kind of how we would operate or what our goals were.
Yeah.
And so once you're specific on who you're trying to appeal to, it helps people choose you. It helps people believe that you're the right person for the job. It gives them the confidence and the trust that you understand their industry. Because although we all know the reality is a lot of it is very similar and a lot of it is transferable between industries, the reality is this is about giving them confidence. And it also gives you an opportunity to become an expert in that field. It's easier to get out there and your name be out there of, this is Laura Moore, she is the expert on social media for greengrocers.
I'm not, by the way, so don't come after me for that. Don't send me leads.
So that's like, it's easier to become known for that than to become known for a social media expert, for example. Yeah. It's so broad, it's too broad.
And it's so much easier to be referred. Like, if I think about people in our membership, the Inner Hub, and somebody came to me with a specific like niche that they needed help with, like my husband's a carpenter. If he needed somebody to do his ads and I wasn't doing it, I know immediately that I would go to one of our members, Kelly Worrell, because she niches into that sector. if I knew somebody who had a restaurant, I would know immediately who's in the inner hub, who, helps restaurants, because it's so specific, and it makes it much easier for me to refer people because I don't remember people's names.
You become more memorable.
Yeah. You've got to help people to remember who you are and help people to remember your name or your business or what it is that you do, so that if you are having these conversations with somebody and someone says, oh, I need a social media manager for my gardening business, you can immediately think, oh, hang on a minute, I know so-and-so does gardening socials. I can recommend that person, and you become more easily memorable and recommendable. Like, it's all about being memorable, isn't it? I'm going to have to tell this story about the chocolate orange lady.
Okay, go on.
So, because it's all about being memorable. Before Christmas, my husband sent me to Sainsbury's to buy a chocolate orange. I didn't just go there for that, by the way.
Other supermarkets are available.
Yeah, this is not a paid promotion. And so I was in Sainsbury's buying this chocolate orange. Now, I don't know about you, but chocolate orange is like a major part of our festivities. It's not Christmas without a chocolate orange. And I was in Sainsbury's, I picked up a few bits and bobs, could not find a chocolate orange anywhere, was getting quite stressed out that there was no chocolate orange. Went and found the shop lady and said to her, have you got any more chocolate oranges out the back? Her answer was the standard, if it's not on the shelves, then there aren't any, which annoyed me anyway. So I then just finished my shopping, went to the till. And a few minutes later, I can hear across the store, amongst the Christmas music, this woman going, chocolate orange lady, like really calling out, chocolate orange lady. And this noise is getting closer and closer to me and louder, and everyone's looking around like, what's going on? Is there some crazy woman in here talking about chocolate oranges? Who is this chocolate orange lady? Eventually, she finds me at the till. It's like, chocolate orange lady, don't worry, I've saved Christmas. Here's your chocolate oranges. With this massive tray of chocolate oranges. I'm mortified because literally everyone's looking at me. I'm going bright red. I'm like, why did I come to buy this bloody chocolate orange? Eventually get my chocolate orange and leave, right? But my point is, I was memorable because I'd asked for one thing. I hadn't said to her, where's the chocolate orange? I need some bacon. I need to buy Christmas wrapping paper, and told her everything that I needed. I had just said I needed chocolate orange, and the look on my face and the fact that I'd said, oh my God, that's Christmas ruined, had made me memorable to her because she's like, this woman's crazy. Her Christmas is ruined because of a chocolate orange. But she remembered me, and then she started trying to find me across the whole bloody shop, which was so embarrassing. But you have to be memorable, don't you? And whether it's because you need a chocolate orange in your life or you do social media for greengrocers or gardeners, it's the thing that makes you memorable. By the way, if you want my address to send me chocolate oranges, I'll put it in the show notes. I won't really. But yeah, it's all about being memorable, I think.
Yeah, it is. And it just makes your life so much easier, I think. And it makes, you can create content so much easier because you can really tap into the pain points of that audience. You can appear more attractive to businesses because of that. Everything just becomes easier. Everything. Yeah. So it does take a leap of faith, I think. But I don't think in 2024, this is the year that we can be broad. We have to niche, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So should we talk about how you can niche?
Yes.
So we are very much of the opinion that there's 4 ways that you can niche. The first one is probably the most obvious and the one that most people do, which is by sector or industry. So like, for example, you only do social media for greengrocers or gardeners or I don't know why we always pick these really random businesses. Such a terrible example. SaaS companies, business coaches, car manufacturers, whatever. Yeah. All of, and you're niching literally by that specific sector. Now that could be slightly broader. Like in your case, it wasn't just, sofa manufacturers, for example. It's like interiors and lifestyle, wasn't it? Kind of brands, which is slightly broader.
It was home and interiors.
Oh, sorry, I got it wrong.
It's obviously not that memorable.
Obviously not memorable. So yeah, the more specific you are, the better. But I think that's the one that most people do, isn't it?
What, home and interiors?
No. Oh, sector or industry.
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a popular one.
Yeah, and I think as a business, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who knows your sector or your industry. That would always be a bonus. The second way that you can niche is by the service you deliver and the platform you deliver it on. So, for example, you might only help people with Instagram, or you might only offer ads, or you might only ghostwrite for LinkedIn, right? So the service or the platform, and adding that onto like whatever you're doing for the sector, like makes you become more memorable, I think. So that's the second way. The third way is by the outcome or the objective. So for example, like Laura's example earlier, when she said, you know, that somebody is helping membership site owners on Instagram to get more leads, the outcome there would be to get more leads. So you might help somebody to, you know, you might say, I help people to grow their community, or I help people to get more sales, or I help people to drive more website traffic, or get more blog readers, or whatever it is. It's that outcome or the business objective. Like why they actually want to hire somebody isn't because they just want content on Instagram. It's because they want that to have an impact on their business. And that can be really powerful way to niche. You know, I help people to get more leads. Like that's powerful. People want that. Yeah. But the fourth way and the best way, and if I was going to niche now, this is what I would do. I would do all of those things. So, and this is our preferred method. So you would niche by the sector. You would help them with one service or one platform, and you would help them to get an objective. So, for example, you might help accountants to generate leads on Instagram. You might help membership owners and course creators to get more sales on LinkedIn. You might help hairdressers to get bookings on Facebook, right? So it's got all of those different elements of those three things, because that's powerful. People want to know that you're an expert in their industry. They want to know you can help them on the platform that they need help with, or that their audience are on, and they want to know the outcome that's going to happen when they work with you. And I think that's far more specific than what you and I ever did. And if I was going to niche now, that's what I'd do.
100%. And so would I, for all the reasons that we've already covered. And I think this would be a good point to just touch on like what makes, in particular, a good industry to niche into. Because I think we have to be realistic here. You have to think business. It's all like, often when people are struggling with niching, I'll always say, well, what industries do you enjoy? What past experience do you want to bring forward? Maybe you've had a career in a certain industry and you're more than happy to kind of continue talking about that. Like my past industries, I did not want to continue talking about. So I knew I could cross those off the list. But I always have had an interest and a passion for housing, interiors. I love it. I'm on Rightmove every day. Like that's my thing. So that is essentially why I chose that niche. But I didn't just go, oh, okay, well, I like going on Rightmove. That's going to be my niche. It had to be a kind of strategic business decision. And so for me, a lot of my clients ended up being like furniture companies, which was perfect because it's easier for them to get a return on investment rather than if you want to support small creative businesses where they're making bracelets for a tenner, that's going to be a lot harder because they're going to have to sell a lot of bracelets to cover your costs, let alone then make a profit. And you do have to think like that. And sometimes, although you might have a passion for a particular industry, is it going to be a financially viable option? You know, and there could be elements of your niche. It could be quite a broad niche. So therefore so thinking about that Etsy small creator of a bracelet, you could niche into the jewelry industry and your management clients are the diamond suppliers and the people who have got a higher purchase value product. But your power hours, your audits, your lower ticket products and services that you offer can still support the small creator community that you're passionate about. So there are ways that you can bring your passion sometimes into these niches, but you do have to make a business-based decision.
Yeah.
And it's preferable, I think, if it's an industry that you know a little bit about. It's not essential, but I think that just helps, doesn't it? If you know a little bit about what you're talking about. She says, with all of my clients being in an industry I know nothing about, but you know, it just makes life a little bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, but like, although your clients are clients, you know nothing about their industry, you wouldn't then go out and try and target more of those people because you'd find it hard to create content that attracts those people potentially. So
totally,
the clients that you work with are not necessarily always the same clients that your niche marketing is for.
No, well, that's it. And as we often say, it's about niching your marketing, not niching your business. So when I niched, I still had inquiries for businesses that did not fall into that niche. Like these clients that I still have now, got 2 clients that did not fall into that niche, but I still took them on.
Yeah.
Because
well, similar for me. I
wanted to.
Yeah, all my messaging was all about Facebook ads, but I was still having organic clients contacting me. Like, it doesn't put people off you just because you're speaking about a specific thing. It just brings more of the right people to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was still getting people, and I still do now, actually. I still get leads landing in my inbox from people who don't fall into my niche at all. And, you know, maybe that's to do with the shit messaging on the website, maybe. But it doesn't necessarily repel people.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about, oh, well, am I going to get bored if I'm just working within a similar industry? I would argue that you're probably not, but it doesn't mean that you can't work for other businesses. Or, for example, all of my management clients, I'd have wanted to, my aim would have been that they fell into that niche. Obviously, it didn't work out like that, but that's what the aim was. But the types of businesses that I used to do power hours for, they could be anyone. I couldn't care. So I kind of got that variety, and I used to do lots of workshops. So I used to work with lots of different businesses in any niche who used to come to the workshops, and that was fine. So I kind of got my variety that way. But in terms of management clients, I certainly would have, I'd want my content to only attract that particular
I think,
niche.
like, if you think about it, for example, this is a really random example, but if you were advertising and marketing yourself as, you know, I help curry houses in Birmingham get bums on seats, that's not going to stop curry houses in London wanting to work with you. It's also not going to stop the local Italian restaurant in Birmingham wanting to work with you. Yeah. Because the things are transferable, and it still makes you, like, you know, interesting to them. Yeah. I think there's also something to be said about that you need to be specific. Like, we see this a lot. I help women own businesses. Well, half the planet is women, so that's not niche. And things like they're things that we just don't really understand, and that your potential clients don't understand. Like, I help ethical businesses. Well, in what way are they ethical? Are they ethical because they are environmentally friendly? Are they ethical because they don't murder their staff? Like, what about them is ethical? Like, you know, so it's just really, it's broad. You need to be really specific, and you need to make sure that the language you're using is language that they see themselves as. Yeah. You know, if you're saying that you help ethical businesses, and what you actually mean is you help businesses who have an interest in saving the planet, but they think they're ethical because they're looking after their staff really well and they give them really great benefits, those two things are not the same. You know, or if they do look after the planet, but that's not their main priority, then they're not going to see you in your messaging. So it's like, you need to just be really specific.
Yeah, I think understanding the terminology businesses, like, for example, if I saw an account of I help course creators get more leads, I'd be like, oh, nice. Versus I help mompreneur course creators get more leads, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Because I do not want to be part of the mompreneur. So, and that's fine. They're like, obviously, there will be people who like to be in that niche. I'm not knocking it, but
no.
But if I'm your target audience, make sure you are clear on the wording and terminology that you're using.
And you might need to ask. Like, we had a conversation with somebody the other day who was having this similar sort of debate with themselves about how could they speak to their target audience, and I think her messaging was something like service providers, and she said, "Well, you're my audience. Like, does that appeal to you?" And we're like, "No." We don't, like, for this business, we don't see ourselves as service providers. We see ourselves as membership site owners, course creators, that kind of language. If she was trying to approach us as a service provider, that's our separate businesses. And that isn't the business that she would want to help. So you need to really understand how that person sees themselves.
Yeah. Terminology is key.
So then what happens when you have niched? What happens next?
You need to own it. Like,
okay.
Like, you need to, like, the amount of times I'll say to somebody, well, who's your niche? And the first thing I do is I'll rush off to their social media platforms. And
literally, she does this.
Yeah, and it's never, ever mentioned. Like, you've got to own it. Like, own it.
People are not mind readers.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's a PS on an email or somewhere deep and dark on your website. Get it on your bio. create content that literally has their business, industry, whatever it is, in your captions, images, your copy, like, and just own it. Like, speak with confidence that you are the best person in that niche to do whatever it is that you've said you're going to do. And just tell everybody, tell your friends and family. If you're looking for clients, say to them, did you know that this is the type of business I work for? Because someone will go, oh, my neighbour's a greengrocer. I'll ask him if, people like to help. And we've talked about this before. So tell the world. And
also, just on that, when you're introducing yourself, like you're in the hairdressers and somebody says to you, oh, what do you do for a living? Don't tell them you're a social media manager. Say, I help greengrocers get more people in their shops by creating content on Instagram. That means something to them.
Yeah.
You saying you're a social media manager doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Yeah. And that's a way to shut the hairdresser up when they're wanting free advice as well. Unless, obviously, unless the hairdresser's your niche. But yeah, and I was going to say, keep telling everybody what it is. Yeah. Keep talking about it. Keep saying that you do that and help these people, and this is the result. It needs to just roll off your tongue.
Yeah. And don't say it in one post every now and then and not all the time. If you look on our Instagram content, if you can find any post that don't say the word social media manager, I will be shocked, because it's either in the caption or it's on the graphic or it's spoken in a reel. We say it all the time.
Yeah.
Because we want to speak to you. We want to help you. We want you to know that our content is for you. And if we don't do that, you don't know.
And we don't want people who don't fall into that.
Yeah.
Who are graphic designers.
Yeah.
Because we're not, we're not, and we can't help.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, so just be really clear, keep repeating it, put it everywhere, put it on a billboard, tell the world, repeat. And then I think once you've done all that, and keep doing that, you also just need to think about so now I know my niche, where do I need to be hanging out? Who do I need to be aligned with? So are there any partnerships or collaborations that you could maybe start to kind of nurture of other people who serve that audience? So maybe there's also web designers who only work with greengrocers. Go find them. Go build a relationship with them. Other kind of people who have influence of your audience and are serving your audience. Make them your business best friends, because you'll help each other. And when you get leads or recommendations, you can obviously, I'll scratch my back, you scratch your back type of jobby. And also...
What? Hang on. You're going to scratch your own back and they're going to scratch their own back.
I'll scratch...
This is yet another one of the amazing sayings that Lord Dave
I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back.
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
When I retire to my house on the coast, on a cliff top, like Elkie Brooks did, I'm going to write a book of all the sayings I fuck up.
Okay, can you do it before that so we can afford to retire?
I don't think that will help us with our retirement pension. Anyway, what I was trying to say is, apart from the scratching back thing, after that I was trying to say find out where people are hanging out. Like, where are they? Are they in Facebook groups? Are they in LinkedIn groups? Are they on, do they have a WhatsApp group? Go hang out where your target audience are hanging out and go and be really, really helpful. Don't just go and pitch yourself and go and say, hey, I've put my pin in it. I'm now a Instagram helper for greengrocers. This is a greengrocer. Laura's absolutely wetting herself. I'm a greengrocer Facebook group.
I'm back in the room.
Go and find your greengrocer Facebook group and go and be really helpful and nice and share tips and build a reputation and build a brand and be the person on the tip of everybody's tongue when they think of a person to help with their social media on that industry. Right, I've just been waffling there while Laura lost her shit.
I'm so glad this is not a video podcast because I've literally got tears running down my face. Anyway,
did you miss
can
all
I just
of that?
say, I just have to say props to Laura Davis for continuing whilst I'm literally dying on the other side of the screen laughing. And that's very professional of you. Yeah, I think
Thank
we
you.
deserve an award for this show because that was so professional.
Thanks.
If anyone wants to nominate us, do feel free.
But we're not paying. We're not paying.
No, we're not paying for an award.
No.
Anyway,
So there we go.
there we go. We'll be back again with some more amazing Laura Davis sayings in another
Maybe I just
episode.
need my own podcast on how many sayings you can fuck up in a podcast.
You're going to have to take it from here. I can't.
Okay. Right. Well, let's just recap, shall we? So we need to niche. I think we've established that. You 100% need to niche. There are 4 different ways that you can niche. You can niche by your sector or industry. You can niche by your service or the platform. You can niche by the outcome or the objective. Or, and this is our preference, you can niche by doing all of those things. And once you've niched, you just need to tell the world, get it out there and become known within that sector. So
For sure.
I'm hoping this will be useful. I know there's been quite a few people who have asked for this podcast, and I apologise that Laura cannot be professional and gets herself.
I'm fine now. I'm back in the room. The mascara's a little smudged, but I'm fine.
Gets herself in a bit of a pickle.
But this isn't a video podcast, so it's fine. I would love to know what your niche is. So come and
Yes.
drop into our DMs or our Facebook group and let us know who you help, where you help them and what you help them with.
Yes.
Like, what is that part of your business? We want to know.
Yeah,
Come tell us.
the nichier the better.
And if you need, if you want feedback about whether this is niche enough, whatever, we're happy to do that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, come find us.
Look forward to
We'll
it.
put the links for all of the group and our Instagram and all of that stuff in the show notes, so you can just click through and have those conversations.
All right.
And we'll be back in another podcast where I have fully got myself together, don't have mascara all over my face, and I'm being very serious. So yeah, we'll see you then.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye!